today's video, we are going to talk about the lesson 9, which we can find in our Greg Shorthand College Book 1 Centennial Edition by Dubik and Condon. So for today, we are going to have the following objectives under the lesson 9. First is to articulate the phrases containing theory words and brief forms, to articulate the symbol from the sound of it, to properly represent the sound of ish, che, and j with symbols, and to understand how to properly write dates within the sentences. So we already know that a brief form is a special outline that is most frequently used in the English language. It is a word that is represented by only one symbol and only one symbol as a whole outline. So for example, the brief form I, can, and not. The pronoun I is represented by a big circle, which is the symbol of A. The verb can is represented by the short forward over curve K, and the word not is represented by the short forward line N. We then have the brief form derivative, which is a combination of a brief form and a symbol. So let's have the word willing as our example. We have the brief form will combined with the symbol of the sound of the suffix ing, which is a dot. It then forms a brief form derivative. The brief form phrase consists of two or more brief forms. So, for example, the words I can and I cannot. The phrase I can is represented by the big circle a, the short forward and the short forward over curve K. So if we add the short forward line N, it then forms the outline for the phrase I cannot. Now, for our main objective, the theory brief form phrases. So what is a theory brief form phrase? It is represented by a brief form plus an outline, which is a complete outline. So let's have the following examples. So these are the theory brief form phrases. First is we have I know, represented by a and o, a for the pronoun I, and o for the outline of the word know. So we have I know. Next is we know, ui and o. Ui is the outline for the word we, and of course no for the word know. We know. As you, as your, we have su, s for the word as, and of course the uhu for the brief form you and your. So as you, as your. As you know, su and o, as you know. If the, so we have the symbol ef, if. So ef is the outline of the word if, and of course the over if symbol is the representation of the brief form word the. Next is we have if you, if your, ef u. We have ef for the word if, and u for the brief form, again you and your. If you have ef u v. So we have ef for if, u for the brief form you, your, and the v symbol is a representation of the brief form word have. Then we have if you are, ef u r. Ef for if, u is the brief form for you and your, and r is a symbol for the brief form of r. Next is if you will, ef u will. So ef for if, u for the u hook for the brief form you, and then will is represented by the long forward under curve L. If you will. If you can, ef u can. Ef for if, u for the brief form you, can is represented by the short forward over curve K, if you can. If you cannot, EF, U, can, and not. So EF for if, U is the brief form for the pronoun you, and can short forward over curve K, and then not is the short forward line N. If you cannot. Next we have we are. UER. UE is the outline of the word we, and then R is represented. The brief form R is represented by the R symbol. So it is a short forward undercurve. Next we have we are not, UER, and then not. UE is for we, R is represented. The brief form R is represented by the symbol of R, a short forward undercurve, and then we have not, the symbol of N, a short forward line. Then we have UE have. UE is for the outline for the word we, and then have is represented by the brief form have is represented by the V symbol. We have. Next, we need UE, NED. UE is the outline for the word we, and then the outline for the word need is NED. We need. I need, NED. Is the symbol for the brief form pronoun I, and of course, need NED. The outline for the word need. Next, we have I do, DU. So the pronoun I is represented by and then for the word do, the verb do, we have the symbols of D and do. Do not, DU, not. So for the phrase do not, we have the symbol D that occupies the 3/4 of our line of writing. 3/4 of our line of writing. It is a slanting forward line. Then we have U, the U hook. And then for the brief form not, it is represented by the symbol of N. Do not. Then we have I do not, ADU not. I do not. Next we have we do, UEDU. Again, UE for the pronoun we, and then the verb do is represented by the symbol of D and the O hook. Next we have do you. We have DU, U. So DU for do, and U is the representation of the brief form you. Then we have do you know, DUU and O. Again, DU for do, U the brief form representation of the word you, and then NO the outline for the word no. To you, to your, DUU. So for the word to, we have DU for its complete outline, and then U is the representation of the brief form you and your. To take, we have TUTAK, TAK. So TU is for the outline for the word to, and TAK is the outline for the word take. On our, ON, our. So for the word on, we have the symbol of O and N. And then for the brief form our, it is represented by the short forward undercurve R. For our, for, and then our. So for is a brief form. It is represented by the F symbol, which is a downward curve. a downward right curve that occupies 3/4 of the line of writing. Of course, the reform hour, it's represented by the R symbol. Then we have on it. We have O and it. So for the word on, we have the outline ON, and then it is represented by it is a reform that is represented by the symbol of T. Now we have can phrases. So this um so in this set of phrases we have the indicative um word can. So the brief form can is represented by a short forward over curve K. So we have to remember this because so that we can easily identify these set these kinds of theory and brief form phrases. So we have I can. The pronoun I is represented by the big circle, a symbol, and then the brief form can again is represented by a short forward over curve K. I can. Then we have can you. We have the short forward over curve and then the hook O. Can you? We can, ui, can. We have ui for the word we, and then the short forward over curve K for can. We can be, ui can be, uh, ui for we, the symbol of K for can, and then the B symbol for the brief form B. We can be. Next is we cannot. Ui, can, then not. So ui is for the word, for the pronoun we. Can is represented again by the K symbol, and then not is represented by the N symbol. We cannot. We cannot be ui, KN, B. So ui for we, K for can, N for not, and then the B symbol for the brief form B. So the indicative word in the will phrases is the verb will. So the verb will is represented by the L symbol because it is a brief form. So let's start with we will, we will. So we have ui for the representation of the word we, and then will is represented by the long forward undercurve L. We will have we will have. So we is represented by the ui symbol. Will is represented by the L symbol, and then have is represented by the V symbol, which is a long downward curve facing to the right. Next, we have we will be, ui will be. So we will be, we have ui will be. So B is represented by the B symbol, which is a long downward curve facing to the left. We will not, we will not. So again, we have ui will represented by the L symbol, a long forward undercurve, and then the not is represented by a short forward straight line, which is the N symbol. We will not have U, E, L, and V. So we have UE for the representation of the pronoun we. Will is represented by the L symbol, not is represented by the N symbol, and have is represented by the V symbol. We will not be UE will not be. UE for the pronoun we. Will is represented by the L symbol, not is represented by the short forward straight line N, and then B is represented by the symbol of B, or it is a brief form. So for the would phrases, the indicative word here is the brief form would. So it is represented by a long forward slanting line, straight line that occupies 3/4 of the line of writing. So our first our first would phrase is we would. So we have we would. We is for the representation of the pronoun. Of the pronoun we. And then would is represented by the D symbol. We would have UE would, and then we have UE for the pronoun we. We have the brief form would is represented by the D symbol, and then the brief form have is represented by a long downward curve, which is the V symbol. We would be, UE would be. So UE, so we is represented by UE, would is represented by the D symbol, and then B is represented by the B symbol. We would not, we would not. So UE for the representation for the pronoun we would is represented by the D symbol, and then the brief form not is represented by the N symbol. So we would not have we are just going to add the V symbol for the brief form. V symbol for the brief form have. We would not be. We would not be. So UE for the pronoun we have the D symbol for the brief form would, the N symbol for the brief form not, and then the long downward curve facing to the left for our brief form B. So may and might phrases. The indicative words here are the word may and the word might. So for a moment. For the word may, we have it is represented by the M and the A symbol, while might is represented by MIT. So the representation for the sound of I is different from the pronoun I. So the pronoun I's representation is the A or the A symbol, which is a big circle. The pronoun I's representation is the big circle while the sound of I's representation is the big circle that is broken. So we have the first word, I might, we have M I T. We have the pronoun I, M, and then the symbol of the sound of I, and then the T symbol. So as you can see, we have a brief form plus a complete outline of the word might. Now, I might, M-I-T. So for the pronoun I, we have the symbol of a. For, oh, I'm sorry. Let's start again. We have a, M-I-T, B. So for our pronoun I, we have a. For our might, we have M, I, and T sounds. And then for the brief form B, we have the B symbol. So I might be. We might U-E-M-I-T. So U-E for we, and then M-I-T for the outline of the word might. We might have U-E-M-I-T, have. So UE again for the pronoun we, MIT for the outline of the word might, and then we have the V, the downward curve V for the representation of the symbol have. We might be U U-E-M-I-T B. So we might be, we have the UE for the outline, for the complete outline of the pronoun we, MIT for the complete outline of the word might, and then for our B, we have, for our brief form B, we have the long downward curve facing to the left, B symbol. You might be, we have U, M, I, E, B. You might be. So for you, brief form U, we have the U, and then MIT for might, and then again the symbol of B for our brief form B. You might have UMIT have. So for this representation of our brief form U, we have UMIT for the representation of might, and then for our brief form have, we have for our brief form have is the V symbol. We may be U-E-M-A-B. Now, you may be asking, why is the A symbol above the M symbol if the outline for may is the opposite. So we have this joining principle in shorthand that circles are written outside of the angles. So as you can see here, if we uh, if we put the M and B beside each other, it's going to form the angle right here. So is this is inside the angle and this one is outside the angle. That is why we have the A symbol above the symbol of M. Next, we may have U-E-M-A have. So the same principle applies. The circle is written outside of the angle between M and V.